what is Stephen Ministry? It's a one-on-one walk with someone who's going through a difficult time, and a difficult time could be, it's, it's pretty much up to that person. It could be something serious, it could be something that's just causing them anxiety. And it, to become a Stephen Minister, you take 50 hours of training. To become a leader, you take, when I took it, it was 2 weeks. Now it's down to a week of training, so it's pretty intense. And you meet with supervision so that you aren't doing this alone.
Is the pastor is like the emergency responder and comes and puts the fire out. But there are so many fires that a pastor has to deal with that pastor puts the fire out, sets the table for Stephen Ministry, and then they're off to the next fire. And then the Stephen Ministers come in to help rebuild the house. That's the metaphor. Because we are there, week in and week out for however long it takes to rebuild the house.
Frankly, and I think selfishly, I enjoyed getting to know people whom I had not known very well before. Just from conversations with them, not any particular discussions, but just conversations with them. You get, sometimes you get an entirely different opinion of a person through just conversation than if they're actually giving a talk about something.
I enjoy working with the other Stephen Ministers. They are a wonderful group of people, loving, kind, caring. I have learned so much from them.
And I also, from that, learned how, even when they asked if I wanted a Stephen Minister, I said, oh, I don't think so. And I don't think it's because I thought that I had all the answers, but I think it was just one more thing that I thought I can't handle, making up a schedule, making up an appointment with one more person, inviting them to my house, having to clean up so they could come, finding something to offer them, food or drink, or just clearing the kids out and getting a babysitter. So it was suggested to me that I could meet with that person when I was in the hospital. So that took away all those problems, and I appreciated that because that had not crossed my mind. I wasn't trying to make excuses. I just knew I didn't have the energy to do it. So the way you can be creative with making appointments, whether you take walks with people, go to a restaurant and find a quiet place that you can sit and talk, come back to the church. I've experienced all of those, so I know what that's like for someone to take you to an appointment to get a test done and sit with you, and so it can be done a lot of different ways. I think that helped.
So we go back a long, long time. I'm about 9 years old, give or take. I'm playing in the streets of the Bronx. And the streets of the Bronx, they're busy streets. So you got to imagine that these streets are busy. And I'm playing, and all of a sudden I see this guy walking up the road. He's got this stick in his hand, and he's tapping the ground with it back and forth, and he's walking weird. Sort of weird in my mind, at least. That's my memory of it, that it wasn't your usual walk. He gets to the street corner where I live, and he just stops and stands there. And he waits and he waits and he waits, and eventually somebody comes up and crosses him across the street. So later that night, I asked my mom, I said, I saw a guy, I think he's blind. I think that's the reason why he was walking strange and he was going back and forth with this stick. And my mom goes, oh yeah, I can't even remember his name. It's funny. But that's the blind man. That's what I'll call him for this story, the blind man. So I said to my mom, I said, Mom, I want to cross the street with him. So the next time I see him, can I cross him? And my mom says, sure. Just remember, look both ways. I said, okay, Mom. So for the next couple of weeks, whenever I see him, I take a time out from what I'm doing and I go or walk over to him and I cross the street. And we sort of get to know each other as the weeks go by. So one day I just asked him, I said, where do you go? Where are you going? And he said, oh, I'm going up to the main road to go shopping. And I said, oh, the main road to go shopping. So that night at dinner, I said to my mom, I said, Mom, you know, that blind man, he goes up to the main road to go shopping. Would you mind if I walked him all the way to go shopping? I said, it's the same place you sent me, Mom, so you can't tell me that it's too far away. And she goes, I'll talk to your father. And I said, okay, fine. But eventually they said it would be okay as long as I let them know that I was leaving the neighborhood. So as fate would have it, soon after that conversation, there he is standing on the corner, and my mom's got her head out my apartment window. I lived in an apartment in the Bronx. So it was like, wow, you couldn't ask for more. So I looked up at my mom and I pointed at the guy and she nodded. That meant that I had permission to walk him up to the main road. So I come to him and I say, hey, you know, I'm going to do more than cross the street with you today. I'm going to walk you up to the main road if that's where you're heading. And he goes, yeah, I am heading up to the main road, but no, you don't have to do that. It's too much trouble. Don't do that. You don't have to do that. I go, oh, no, you don't understand. I want to do this. I need to do this. There's something I just need to do this. Please let me do this. And he says reluctantly, okay, you can walk me so far and then I'm going to ask you to go home. I said, okay, fine. So I get up to the main road and he told me he was going to a Chinese restaurant to get takeout. I said, okay. So we're about 2 or 3 storefronts from the restaurant and he stops me and says, okay, now it's time for you to go home. And I go, oh, okay. I said, but you know, I really think it's crazy for me to go home when I can walk you back after you get your Chinese food. And you don't have to wait for people to cross you across the street. Your food will be nice and hot. Let me walk you home. And so then I can see him start looking really sad. It sort of shocked me that helping him would make him sad. You know, an offer of help would make him sad. So he tried one more time to get me to walk home, and then he realized I really wanted to do this. So he reluctantly said, okay, you can walk me home, but I got to tell you the truth. And I go, what's that? He said, the truth is I'm not going to the Chinese restaurant. I'm going to the liquor store next to the Chinese restaurant. And for a young boy, I understood alcohol because there was alcoholism all around me in the Bronx where I lived. And I'm not saying that this guy was an alcoholic, but I understood why he didn't want me to know. And I remember saying to him, I don't care where you need to go. I'll take you where you need to be. Don't worry about it.
What can we at the church do for you now, Helen?
Oh, goodness, honey. Just be there. Okay, fine. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, you might not appreciate that.
I may not like them, but if I'll be honest with you with them.
Okay.
And that people sometimes are afraid to ask for help because they feel ashamed of the situation they're in. Especially men. Men could be in this category.
Over the last year and a half, I've had a lot of things in my life that have happened, and they're just normal things. Started with my son. We were all proud, our first child going to college, and he comes home after 1 semester and says, I'm done. I'm not going to college. And that's different. You know, we always thought all of our kids would go to college. Chris and I are college graduates. So it's an adjustment to trust your child to know what they want for themselves versus what you've always dreamed and hoped and what you think you know is best for them. So that was a big change in our life. And then no sooner did he do that than he decided to go into the Marine Corps. That was a huge, huge change in our life. I can't even, that's a conversation for like 10 hours. Anyway, I had Annabelle's last year of high school, which was super active and lots of positive things, but it takes a lot of time to be present for your child at the level. You know, she was playing 3 varsity sports. We were going to constant activities. It was good stuff, but it's also stressful. And then with her leaving to go to college, even though she's at the University of Delaware, she insisted that she wanted to be away at college. So it was that separation, your baby going away, being practically empty nesters. In the midst of that, I was working 2 jobs, and Chris's mom was in Manor Care for rehabilitation, and when she got home, she needed pretty much daily care. So I would get up at 5 in the morning and make dinner so she would have some and my family would have some, leave theirs to be heated up by them, and then I would go to work, get done work at 5, and then go to her house until 8 o'clock at night. So just thinking back, those are all life things that happen. They happen to all of us. They're all normal things that happen in the course of your life. But it would have been nice to take a pause every once in a while and have somebody, call me and say, how are you doing? How is all this going? Just touch base. I think that having a Stephen minister would have benefited me. I wish I had thought of it for myself, frankly. It would be nice to know that, you could have a Stephen minister for a period of a month, 2 months, 3 months, sometimes years. There is really no boundary for how long it takes for you to have a relationship, how long that relationship will last. You may just need somebody for a few months, and you come out of it feeling loved, and you also have made an amazing friend, I would say, in most cases, and had a life-changing experience.
Ages 2 till 12. Yeah, they were young. I don't know if I've told you that story. My oncologist would come in and ask to see the spread out sheet. When I would be in the hospital, I'd go in for 4 days and they would do constant chemo and then give me some other shots before I'd come home, which pretty much put me out flat for the next 3 days. And then I had 3 weeks to recover and then I'd go in again. And I did that 6 months. So that was a lot of babysitting time and a lot of running around time for the other kids. And this church stepped up so remarkably. They had Kathy Searles and Joy Miller were the 2 people that came to my house after I'd had surgery, and my sister came from Michigan. She said, find 2 people that are willing to do this job. They came and sat with me and made a list of what kind of things I would need, and it was everything from make a grocery list so that all I had to do is write down, how many, check off lists, and get those printed. Make a calendar of who needed to be where for soccer practices, music practices, and babysitting when I was in the hospital. Meals, they spaced that out so we didn't get overwhelmed. They wrote down things they knew that nobody was going to eat. And Kathy made this whole printout sheet so that if somebody asked me, I could just say to them, please call either Kathy or Joy, and they would set you up on this schedule. That worked because then people who didn't really want to babysit, but maybe they wanted to cook or they could drive. So my oncologist would come in and just stare at this, and I said, they always give me a sheet. When I'm in here, I can tell who has the kids. If I need to call or want to talk to them, I can look on that schedule, and I'm still amazed.
I think we have a very good congregation, and I enjoy talking. I enjoy talking to people.
And that's what we do as Stephen Ministers. We walk with you. We don't cure you. The professionals are out there to cure you. God will cure you. But we're there to care for you. Amen.